So we'll move to our open mic next. And as a lot of y'all know, we have very few rules. It's one poem per customer, and the usual care warning applies. I will announce names as we go. If you would like to please unmute yourself when it's your turn, that would be great. If you can also turn your camera on, that's good too, but you don't have to if you don't want to. If the tech is just not working today, hey, we understand. And also when it's not your turn, could you please remember to mute? That would be really helpful. And our featured poets will be back after this open mic round. So it looks like we have a big yes. No, that's a response to poetry reading. Okay, so our first volunteers are Scott, followed by John Simons.
Actually, I think there was a Judith who signed up just ahead of me. I don't want anybody to get forgotten.
Oh, I will never forget Judith. Judith, she's a friend.
Okay.
Judith, you ready?
Yes. So thank you for recognizing me. I'm kind of a newbie, so that really helped. This poem is called Dancing Out of Time, a Creation Myth. In the distant, quiet dark, she gulps her energy drink and belches, then bang. Space spins out, worlds unfurl, orbits unravel, galaxies race to gravity oblivion. Time stretches, then compresses, slinking back, then forward. Despite this past and present's knack for evading arrest, you expect vertical, firm footing. Instead, points of view curve and cross at unconsidered places. A dance in all dimensions, steps within easy reach, but so rapid that you choke, fall at the last minute, sucked up by events. The ebb tide pulls you down over a horizontal cliff where land turns to sand and the buoyant universe sloshes orchestral. A large liquid tornado laughing on its side. But east's sweeping out is west's flood, a backflip and a folding to a deep new forward. Memory foams the water, rippling up and in, a flexing of blue muscles, those waves as change reels you in. His followers up for another round, hungry for a rhyme, a story. Thirsty? That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, and good to see you. Scott, how about you, followed by John, and then the Peckhams.
Sure. Thanks to all of our readers today. You guys are really marvelous. All right. This is for now called The Places We Are. A kitchen is a stock pot, a knife block hearth of the heart, where the young wobble and bend after bumbled blueberries and overzealous pot watchers issue brusque commands. Do not eat until the reckless rinse. Love is a speck the water washes past. A kitchen is a heritance field. A recipe is warped space. Transdimensional imperatives bring to boil. Add 2 packets pectin, a lavender of teaspoons. Our cook's convention at some when, near infinite points in time, we pass note cards down the generational bridge. We revise recipes real time in this cosmic cannery, her afterimage, the only thing that escapes the black body of the oven. sterilizing everything in my galactic gallery, so only her phantom inheres. In here, stacks of mason jars glob and rise to the underbelly of the upper cabinets herein. We cant across the floor of time, pace 3 ceramic parsecs between sink and scorching cauldron. Let me begin again. In some other century, in some other pandemic extant beyond the black iron door that is no other door, it was then she was carried to the kitchen in supine position, set beside her iron sentinel, so she could observe the service, the plain pine lowered beneath her ecliptic, a husband laid to process beneath a bath of earth. Here she reaches through a Lethean portal to tear time, lays a hand on mine, ladles my first mason star, whispers all of time is process. The burst berries of her flu lips, sapphire as the jam of jars holding us open.
Thank you. Next up, we'll have John, followed by the Peckhams, Terry, Lucy, and Gary. John Simons? Did we lose him? No, I see John Simons. Could we have some tech help?
I've asked him to unmute.
Excuse me, I had to turn off a leaf blower.
Thank you for that.
I apologize for that. I tried to get him to turn off earlier, but he didn't. Thank you so much for waiting. Appreciate that. Apologies to everybody. I tried to get him to turn that thing off earlier. Okay, Mother's Day. Mother's Day is next week. I wrote this poem some time ago about my mother, who died 20 years ago. She was a product of a different era, homemaker, clubwoman, raiser of kids. Anyway, I'm a little out of breath. This is called Supporting Roles. I would say my mother was not a social climber, but she was a social navigator who disliked people who were obvious about their upward aggressions. This is Heritage Village, Connecticut, 2000. Park your Crown Vics or walk over and visit the actress in waiting, 89 with a morphine pump. Light her brown eyes so I'll see them. Please join us at cocktail time for the drinks she remembers best and the sounds of the past that go with them. Awaken her laugh and story, escaping her Roxbury roots, raising 3 sons on the Hudson, 22 Vero Beach winters, cocktail moments connecting old friends, battles at bridge, rummage sales, watching the nouveaux get richer. Quote, "What do you do with your old clothes, Ruthie?" a benefit cheerleader asked on the phone. "I wear them," she laughed. In light deprecation, playing humility well, she worked the garden shows, music clubs, light opera parts. She sang and danced, stepped up and astride her social plateau. A woman who knew where she stood, respectful yet certain. She mastered ascent from the middle so nobody'd notice. Let others drive new cars, buy their split levels, join field clubs for tennis and lunch. The post-war boom, too good to be true, too atomic to trust, too close to the 30s when her own family slid. Ruthie's cold peace tactics worked. We could have used more, maybe not then, but now, to keep her acting out life in her living room theater, Each arriving guest prompted fresh lines of spirit to hold back the curtains. Benediction on the passing of Ruth. Fellow travelers, thanks for keeping aloft the balloon of neighborhood hope, floating the morphine pump, scripting the hospice finale, backstage and out of her mind. Look up with her to the clouds and gently down on the climbers still short of their dues. Please join her at cocktail time where old fashions flow in the sliced orange sunset and Manhattan's rattle with the ice of new life. Thank you.
Thank you. I wear them. Yes. That's awesome. I see many talented people in this room, and it is not too late to sign up for open mic. If you're sitting there on the fence, well, I'd like to encourage you. That said, let's keep this going with the Peckhams, followed by Terry, Lucy, Gary, and Anne.
Okay, hi there. My mom is visiting from Omaha. She's been here for 2 weeks and she's about to leave tomorrow and back home. And so we're enjoying her company here. I'm going to read you a poem that I wrote called Where the Moon Kissed the Earth, Sierra Pinacate, about a moonscape area south of the Arizona-Mexico border. The moon kissed the earth in this remote place, smashing its lips to the ground just south of the border between Arizona and Mexico, blasting an imprint of craters in convex fashion, cinder cones and Scrabble brush, pumice stone and obsidian glass, mountains and deserts dreaming of the same thing, bringing an artist's relief from our closest satellite down to earth, down to show us how to live in a desolate world, showing small lichens and mosses clinging to life, barely surviving, hoping to become something. Ironwood trees and creosote brush tell you a story of volcanic ash and lava flows that roll along the desert floor like some horror movie creature, stories of wind and rain, dust and sand, dunes rise, small tornadoes of grit spin and swirl across time, across our memories, moving landscape from one place to another, shifting forms and tiny habitats, making it harder to survive. Small pozos, which are small springs, scattered in secret areas from unknown sources, perhaps bestowed by magic, by shaman in the shadows. Calderas drink in moon glow during parched nighttime carnivals of salamander armies marching in dusty procession amidst the teddy bear kala and elephant tree trunks. Here our world partakes of another in ways that only aliens imagine, while Gila monsters roam, miniature dinosaurs on the land, ready to devour every insect, trying to wring moisture from anything that moves, surviving the unsurvivable, living in hell like a lot of us do, waiting in the dark like a blind messenger to bring a chill wind. Earth never tells of its divine encounter, but the evidence is there, this planetary tryst that occurred once in the night before man had his chance to decimate all the rest.
You want to ask him if I want to read
Yeah,
it?
you go ahead.
I'm Jonathan's mother, and I'm here from Omaha, but originally from Martha's Vineyard. And I belong to a poetry group there, a writing group. In fact, it was arts of all kinds called the Pathways Institute for the Arts on Martha's Vineyard. And I have a poem I can read. It's called An Ocean's Tale. My name is Ocean, and if you listen, you will hear me speak. But you must listen carefully or you will hear nothing but the cacophony of my waves and tumbling stones at the shore. Open your mind and hear me in the smallest splashes on the rocks, in the swishing of the waves, in the quiet times. And I will tell you tales of a vast ocean covering all land, of great explosions of lava and mountains pushing up from the deep, of microscopic life forming in my womb, of sea animals growing legs and learning to walk on land. I will tell you of huge ships, sails and steam, wood and iron, crossing my teeming reaches to connect land with land, people with people. I'll speak to you of ships that wrestled with me and lost, now lying encrusted in my depths, of treasures lost and treasures found. Listen, listen very carefully, and you will hear something else. You'll hear the life of the sea, fish and eels, whales and mollusks, creatures the like of which you've never seen, in the sea as on land, alive and viable, each a vital part of the chain of life. Hear them cry out to you, respect us. We are you and you are we. Destroy us and you destroy yourselves. I am ocean, the cradle of life and its nursery. Care for my children.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you. That was a great double feature. That's very cool. All right, Terry, when you're ready, let's hear from you, followed by Lucy and everyone else.
Okay, so I'm new to this and I write more silly poems than thought poems. So this is a little more serious than usual, but it's still kind of funny. And I have to preface it by saying it's kind of based on the fact that when I come to Houston and visit Lucy, who has a very beautiful home, and then I return to my very small hometown in the tiny, tiny town of Plano, Texas, where all the homes are like really old. That's kind of what inspired this. It's called Furniture. Your furniture matches my furniture, like two friends reunited at last, having gone separate ways to return in the days, the present catching up with the past. Your furniture is the same as my furniture, an eclectic collection of classics. An eclectic collection of classics, from low-budget retail to mid-century yard sale, with a preference for wood over plastics. Your furniture is just like my furniture, each piece with a history to tell, a medley of memories, little documentaries of a wonderful life lived so well. Your furniture matches my furniture. It's kind of sort of like us, though sometimes at odds, like two peas in a pod, we get along without much of a fuss. Our furniture reads like our literature, the story of both of our lives, who we are, where we've been, and what lies within, a silent witness to what survives. Your furniture is so like my furniture that when you go from my house to yours, there's no culture shock and no need to knock. It's as though there aren't any doors. The first time I walked into your home, I felt I had never left mine. What was the likelihood of returning to childhood, to that simpler place and time? For what works better than furniture when you're out where the buffalo roam, than a favorite chair, albeit threadbare, to be there to welcome you home? We are just like our furniture, down to each scratch and dent. We've suffered some blows, but as God only knows, to each other we are heaven sent. Our friendship is just like our furniture. What's yours is mine and mine yours. And though it is dusty, it's strong and it's trusty. Whatever comes its way, it endures.
I always like Terry visiting, and I always love her poems. And she's very careful about her meter, and I really admire that. And I have an old poem by W.H. Auden, and it's called If I Could Tell You. Time will say nothing, but I told you so. Time only knows the price we have to pay. If I could tell you, I would let you know. If we should weep when clowns put on their show, if we should stumble when musicians play, time will say nothing, but I told you so. There are no fortunes to be told, although because I love you more than I can say. If I could tell you, I would let you know. The winds must come from somewhere when they blow. There must be reasons why the leaves decay. Time will say nothing, but I told you so. Perhaps the roses really want to grow. The vision seriously intends to stay. If I could tell you, I would let you know. Suppose all the lions get up and go, and all the brooks and soldiers run away. Will time say nothing, but I told you so? If I could tell you, I would let you know.
That's beautiful. Thank you both. All right. Next up, we'll have Gary, followed by Anne. If we have more volunteers, please say so in the chat so I can see you and call on you.
Okay, and so far as I can tell, I checked, it didn't look as though there were other Garys. So this is an older poem, and it has to do with St. Mary's Cemetery in San Antonio, which is where my mother's family is buried. And I still go and visit that, or at least I used to back when we could drive to San Antonio. A Border for the Dead. And it's dedicated to two baby Canes, May 26, 1927 and November 30th, 1930. A water tower once loomed while I carried the weight of my aunt. A bare circle of concrete now holds only the past. Across Dakota, a hollow square still marks a border for the dead, still raises for the living memories and questions. Inside the border, the family Cain lies gathered, joined even in death. Markers of concrete and stone carry their names and dates. The first baby Cain slipped across the border, shares the Cain embrace. Its stone as bare as its life, just one day and never named. Outside the border, the second baby Cain lies alone, shut out. Perhaps it took no breath or never was baptized. Family now dead, left its concrete cradle unmarked for years. Only a fading placard clamped to a rusty stake. Secrets and reasons all safely in the ground, kept by the border. Mother at last put up a stone for baby Cain, fixed the broken border.
Thank you.
And that stake was still there when I was in college.
Nice. So Anne, and then if there's no one else, I will finish up the open mic.
Hi, can you hear me?
Well, I did hear you, and then you muted again. Let's try again.
No?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great, thanks. I'm AK, tuning in, zooming in from Brooklyn, New York. And thank you for all this great poetry and the opportunity to read a poem. So, Sleeping in Blue. In the clouds, their eyes, in the puddles, as she imagines you sleeping in blue, then in nothing. She will be your clothes. She will become the waves in your hair. I've thought this since I read a map of the island by the light of a bare bulb. Before, when poets had their own words stuffed into their mouths for other reasons. She repeats herself and dreams off. When I speak with her, I am in the sun of her country. In the heaviness of her home, she wakes at sunrise, takes tea and a biscuit, witnessing sea in front of her, rinsed sand beneath. She produces her own seagulls, their calls for song. A hand spills open, pooled eyes, electrical crackling, a seagull swooping. Thank you.
Thank you. That's beautiful. And welcome if this is your first time.
It is. Thank you so much.
I hope you come back. We'd like more.
Thank you.
So, all right. I don't see any other volunteers in the, wait, someone's saying something in the chat. Okay, cool. All righty. If no one else wants to read, I will read a favorite poem I ran across this week and I just thought I would like to share. As the regulars know, you don't have to read your own work, but you can, and you can also read somebody else's if you just say who it is. So this is A Dream of Foxes by Lucille Clifton. In the dream of foxes, there is a field and a procession of women, clean as good children, no hollow in the world, surrounded by dogs, no fur clumped bloody on the ground, only a lovely time of honest women stepping without fear or guilt or shame, safe through the generous fields. So that is Lucille Clifton. All right, so